Hi, everybody. Welcome to another YouTube Live. Must be Wednesday in San Francisco because here I am inside YouTube once again. It's Tisa Blackburn, your acrylic diva, right here. We're going to do a YouTube Live today all about how to build an abstract painting from the ground up. Okay, so let's go right to the overhead camera and get started. I want to show you what we're going to start with. This is the finished piece right here, and I can just barely get it in the frame. It's a little bit bigger than what I'm going to be working on, so it's cropped out just a little bit. But we're going to build this painting from the ground up in a series of YouTube Live videos over the next few weeks. We're going to build this baby. So I want to start out by kind of deconstructing it for you so you can kind of see where we're going with it. First of all, the background on this canvas has been prepped with a layer of fiber paste, and let me show you that. This is fiber paste from Golden, and what this does is it turns the canvas surface into a very absorbent surface so that the surface that you're working on really feels like you're working on paper, watercolor paper, kind of a heavy textured watercolor paper. The reason I do that is that you can get all of these wonderful flowing colors in the background. You don't have to wait for glazing liquid to dry. You don't have to wait for layers of glazes to dry to get a lot of depth. And so it's really cool in that respect. You can get a lot of bang and not have to wait a very long time because, of course, water dries pretty fast. Now, why don't I just do this on regular canvas? Well, because the regular canvas won't bond with that water the way that the fiber paste will. So I get a much better surface, I get a much better background when I work on top of the fiber paste. So in this short demo today, I'm going to show you how to work with the fiber paste on your background and get all of these wonderful, really cool colors. And then in the next 3 or 4 videos, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to do the entire painting, and I'm going to step you through all the different processes or processes that go on in creating a painting like this, including the resin looking top coat. Can you see that shiny, shiny top coat? I'll show you how to do that too. Okay? All right, so let's get started. First things first, I'm going to go over to a smaller canvas so you can see a little bit better in the camera what I'm doing. This is a layer of fiber paste that I have put down on the canvas. I'm going to tip that around so you can kind of see the texture that's going on there. Basically, fiber paste is an opaque paste that Golden makes. And if I can get this open, yeah, okay. So see that it's kind of white and it is fairly opaque. I seem to have misplaced my palette knife. I don't know where my palette knife took off to. Okay, well, I'm going to just use the end of my paintbrush so you can kind of see that. It's white, it kind of has fibery looking things in it, but it is all an acrylic polymer. It's all made with acrylic polymers, so it's completely compatible with all of the acrylic products we're going to be using. So there's that. Let me wipe off my paintbrush here, my made-up palette knife. So the next thing I'm going to do is I first took the fiber paste and just laid that down on my canvas with a palette knife. Now you can make it less textural when you're putting it down. If you just wet your palette knife and scrape through it, it'll be a little less textural. Okay, so once that's down and it dries, I usually give it overnight to dry. I try not to work on it right away. Give it overnight to dry. Now, once I do that, I can put down as much water on this canvas as I want to. And if you've been in any of my lectures or demos or anything like that, or you've taken an online class with me, you'll know that I'm always going, blabbing on about how much water you use in your paint and to pay attention to that because using too much water can be detrimental to the surface of your painting. That is if you're working on canvas that does not have this type of ground on it. Once you put the fiber paste or one of the other types of grounds that are made that are absorbent, once you put that down, then you can treat this canvas as though it's a piece of watercolor paper. And that's going to be super important to what we're doing, okay? So I'm taking my 1-inch brush and I've got clean water and I'm just laying some water down. Nothing fancy. Now I'm going to take my little fluids. This is my quinacridone magenta, and I'm just going to put a drop of quin magenta down there, pretty super yummy, and a drop of Hansa yellow. Now when you're doing this, make sure you use colors that aren't going to make mud. Okay, so don't use complementary colors unless you want a more muted background. I like a really vibrant background, so I'm going to use colors that are kind of analogous. They're next to one another on the color wheel, pretty close there. So magenta and Hansa yellow are on the same side of the color wheel. Complementary colors would be magenta and maybe green gold. Those are across the color wheel, okay? And we'll get into that at some future date. But there's a pretty good video on this channel about color mixing and stuff, so take a look at that. All right, so now I've just got my water on my brush and I'm just kind of playing with these colors. This is really all I'm doing here. Because, you know, if I can get the product to do the work, why should I do the work? Because I'm the lazy artist. All right, so I'm just taking my brush and dabbing around and getting these two colors to mix. Grab a little quin magenta, go over here, and see how I can get various shades of the quin magenta here. I hope my camera is color corrected for you all. Let me see if I can change the white balance just a tiny bit here. I'm going to get you a little bit more color corrected. That might be a little bit better. So compare that to your own monitor. This should be a very true yellow on your monitor. Things that are true white, this would be true white. The background here would be true white. If you're seeing a blue cast, you might need to adjust your monitor. Okay, but see how I can take the quin magenta and the Hansa yellow together, and just by dabbing them around, I can create a wide variety of colors here. So they're all going to be warm, but I can create more saturated color, I can create warmer color, and so on. So I'm going to go back to my water here and just kind of squeeze my brush out a little bit so it's not real soupy. And just kind of take that saturated quin magenta that I've got there, kind of dab it around a little bit. Now, one thing you want to remember when you're working like this on fiber paste is that we have really desaturated this color. There's a lot of water down here, and I've only used 2 drops of paint. So keep that in mind, because once this dries, it's going to be substantially lighter than what you're looking at right now. And that may be a little shocking the first time you do that. You'd be like, oh my gosh, what happened to all the beautiful color? Just remember, you're using mostly water and 2 drops of paint. So why not just use a whole bunch of paint to begin with? Because you won't get the kind of luminosity and the kind of beautiful color that you really want if you just start plopping down a bunch of opaque paint. Trust me on this, okay? All right, I've done this hundreds of times, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about, kids. All right, so here is some pretty saturated yellow here. I'm going to swish out my brush a little bit. I know my water is already orange, but that's okay. I'm going to bring a little bit of the quin magenta. Now I'm up to 3 drops of paint. Woo woo! I'm really I'm really flinging the paint around, y'all. So I'm going to put a drop of quin magenta there. And I'm not going to try to, you know, make it do stuff. I'm going to let it do stuff on its own. So see that? Just a little drop of water. Just dab that quin magenta. You know, don't get too bossy with it, because if you do, you'll be sorry. Listen, I can tell you, the paint always wins, okay? So don't get bossy with the paint. All right, just dabbing around, and honestly, this is just how hard it is. I'd like to make it harder for you if I could, but it's just not that hard, okay? All right, getting pretty. We're getting gorgeous here. Do we have any questions in the chat box? Let's see if there's anybody over here in the chat box that needs me. Y'all doing okay over here? Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Asha. How y'all doing? I see you over there. Cool beans. All right. Oh, hi, Asha. Wow. Awesome. I love a wow. I love a wow. Wows are good. Okay. So, Hansa Yellow, Quin Magenta, for those of you that joined me late, Hansa Yellow, Quin Magenta, fiber paste, fiber paste. This stuff's amazing, y'all. I love this stuff. I cover all my canvases with it. All right, so a little bit of Hansa Yellow up here. Oh, 2 drops. Oh, I'm going crazy, y'all. Okay, so a little bit of water on my brush, squeeze it out a little bit, dab it, just dabbing, dab, dab, dab. Okay. Looking good, looking good. And you see how I'm taking my time without covering all the white all at once? Because honestly, trust me, you need to just be really slow with this process. Don't get carried away. Because if you do, then you're going to cover up something kind of cool before you even realize it. A couple more drops of Quin Magenta there. I'm just sneaking up on this idea of saturated color. Right? Just sneaking up on it. I don't need to hurry. I'm in no hurry whatsoever. Just gonna water, a little bit of water, 2-3 drops of paint. I'm picking up this Quin Magenta on my brush, and I'm gonna just tap it up here. Let's have a little bit more saturated Quin Magenta here. And now you can imagine these little drops, these little bottles, 1 fluid ounce. You can imagine how far they go, because I've used, 4 drops of paint. So you can have a whole set of those and have yourself a blast, right? Okay, just playing. I'm just playing. All right, now I want to add a little bit more of the Hansa Yellow, and I want to keep it clean. So I'm going to go to my other water container, which I have to reach for, and I've got clean water in this one. So I'm just going to put some clean water here, and now I've got, whoops, a smaller brush, a little bit smaller brush, some clean water in my mug, and now I'm just going to kind of dab that Hansa Yellow, just dab it in there. And see how that saturated Hansa Yellow there kind of gives you a focal point. It's big and bold and juicy. So we'll just dab that. And it also helps if you're working on a fairly level surface, because you can imagine with all the water I've got on this canvas, things could go haywire if I was on a tilted surface, So pay attention to where your table is, how level your canvas is, and so on, okay? All right. Any questions for me, you all? Let me jump over here to the chat box real quick. Betsy, is that a hardware store brush? You don't worry about bristles coming out in your painting. Hey Betsy, how you doing? Are you talking about my 1-inch brush here? You're talking about this guy, right? Yeah, it is a hardware store brush, and I don't worry about bristles coming off in this particular application because I have so much water on the canvas, the bristles aren't going to stick. If I were doing a glaze layer with glazing liquid, I would definitely not be using that brush. I would be using this kind of brush for glazing. Soft, the bristles don't come out. It's a well, it's not an more expensive brush, but it's a better brush for glazing. Good question, Betsy. Thank you. Um, okay, so we're just kind of dabbing around here. Dab, dab, dab. And I'm looking at that yellow and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? That is too much of a focal point. That's too strong. And I actually did that on purpose so I can show you guys how to fix a mistake. I made a mistake on purpose just for you all. So say for instance, I've done something like this and that right there is just, it's too much. It's just too much. It's still wet. And as long as it's still wet, you can do this. Presto, your boo-boo is gone. Now that is very, very useful if you start working like this. Things get muddy, things start to get away from you. As long as you've got water down, you can just take up what you did, put a little bit more water down, and start again. I could actually take up the color on the entire thing and start all over if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to go back and build my Quin Magenta a little bit. I'm dabbing again. This time I'm going to integrate it a little bit more into that yellow so the yellow doesn't look like a big blob. Let's get a little bit more Quin Magenta. Do you see how I keep putting the drop of Quin Magenta in the same place? The reason I do that is because if I'm, there you go, Betsy, look, there's one of my bristles right there. Good question. Yeah, and see how easily it comes up off the surface of the canvas because the canvas is wet. It wouldn't come up that easily if I was working on a glaze layer or had gloss medium or something down, it'd be all sticky. This is not sticky at all, so you've got lots of time to pick up bristles. But back to this idea of me putting this Quin Magenta drop in the same place every time. Why do you think I'm doing that? Anybody? You guys see if you have an answer for me on that one. Why do I keep putting that Quin Magenta drop in the same spot? I'll let you guys think about that for a minute. And then I'm going to go and put a little bit more Hansa Yellow up here. A couple of drops. I've got my Hansa Yellow brush over here. My clean Hansa Yellow brush. And I'm going to move that Hansa Yellow around a little bit. So any ideas on that, why I put all the Quin Magenta, keep putting it in one place? Let me know, y'all. All right, I am going to put a little Hansa Yellow right here. And a little more here. Didn't come out of the bottle. There we go. And I'm going to put a drop of Quin Magenta up here. Isn't that pretty? I want you to see what's happening there. Can you see that? I think that's awesome. I love it. We're not going to leave it like that, but it's pretty cool. All right. Any more questions for me? I'm just going to keep dabbing here for a little bit. So this is basically the way that I created the background for the big orange piece that I showed at the beginning of this broadcast. And I'm going to kind of leave it there for now. Let's see, I think the Quin Magenta here is a little heavy, so let's put a little Hansa Yellow into it. Help it out a little bit, integrate it a little bit. There we go. That's helpful. Okay. Now, once you start working like this with two colors, if you keep dabbing, 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 eventually you're going to mix everything and lose the fact that you've got two separate colors. So see what's happening right here? How everything's kind of going orange right here? It's because I have so much Quin Magenta and Hansa Yellow. And that will, once you start dabbing around and keep dabbing around, the two colors eventually will mix. So I'm going to pull up a little bit of that. See that? Just so easy to do. Really, super easy. Hi, Jamie. How are you? You don't use fiber paste enough? Well, girlfriend or boyfriend, I'm not sure. I can't tell if Jamie is a man or a woman. Doesn't matter. Um, you need to use fiber paste more. Obviously. Obviously. So let's throw a little Hansa yellow here and dab, dab, dab. And see how I was able to bring that back from being kind of an orange. That way, once you keep mixing and mixing, you'll lose the ability to see two colors. So pay attention to that. Let's have a little Quin Magenta up here. And I'm going to quit playing because you could play with this all day long. And believe me, I have. So that's good enough for now. Let's, you know, get it a little more integrated there. It was looking a little choppy. Okay, that's good enough for now. We'll let that dry, and then next week we will come back and we will do the next layer, and eventually, after I think we're going to do 3, maybe 4 of these live hangouts, eventually we will have something that looks like this. I can't quite get it all the way under the camera, it's a little bit too big. But you can see if you look carefully, you can see the background there has all of that kind of background that we're working on right now. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Artist Poet Girl, Jamie. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. I'm going to jump over here to the chat box and see if I have some questions. Do you all have some problems you need to have solved when it comes to acrylic painting, that kind of stuff? I want to answer your questions. So I'm going to go over here to my other monitor and see if I can find you guys. Hopefully I can. Hopefully, hopefully. Let's see if I can find you. Looks like... Okay, so questions. I'm going to go to this window. It's easier. Questions for me. And excuse me, my hay fever is... I hope I don't start sneezing. You guys, the hay fever this year has been so bad. What I want to know, first of all, I asked you all a question. Why was I using the Quin Magenta in that one spot over and over again? Any ideas on that? Why was I saturating the color there? And the other question I have for you is, have you used fiber paste before? And if not, why not? If you have used it, let me know how. What kind of stuff have you been doing with it? Are you using it as a surface to paint on? Are you mixing it in with the paint? That kind of stuff. And I'm also available over on Facebook and all that kind of good stuff. You guys can always find me over there. If you just go over, I'm going to put facebook.com/Tisa Blackburn Fine Art. I'm over there. And I'm on Instagram, Acrylic Diva. If you just put my name in the browser, I'll come up. I'm all over the place doing crazy stuff all the time. The other thing I want to mention to you is if you are not subscribed to my newsletter, you should get over to acrylicdiva.com and subscribe to it, because starting in October, a couple of things are going to happen. In October, I'm going to the Golden Factory, Golden Artist Colors. Where's my golden? I'm going to the factory. Whoops, turn it that way so you can see. Golden Artist Colors. You guys know I'm a certified working artist for Golden. Yay! And they are very, very kind and generous, and they're bringing me back to the factory for a couple of weeks for an artist in residence. And I'm going to be doing a daily video blog from the factory, from the artist in residence program, the Golden Foundation, and that is going to go out to my Patreon people. So you can sign up for $1 a month. It's super cheap. So go to patreon.com/acrylicdiva. And you can sign up there and you'll get all kinds of cool stuff. There's also a really cool meditation video over there, which I need to look at. So that's the scoop on that. Okay, Jamie says, darker colors near the edges bounce the eye back into the canvas. talking about that saturated magenta, that's one thing. That is one, yes, very good compositional note there, yeah, about the dark edges, etc. But that's not why I was doing it. That is not why I was doing it. Asha, you have not used fiber paste before. Okay, well, now's your chance. Check it out. I'll put a link to Blick or to Amazon or something in the show notes, and you'll be able to just get over there and grab some and check it out and see how you like it. I love the stuff. It is my favorite ground to work on, especially on big canvases. I've done a ton of big canvases with it. I think this might have some fiber paste on the background. I'm pretty sure it does. This has fiber paste on it and glass beads. These, I'm going to reach. Can I reach? These have fiber paste on them. In the background, you can see all that kind of watery stuff in the background. That's all fiber paste and water with very little paint. So one of the cool things about this is that it doesn't take a ton of paint for you to get a really stellar background. You can get a gorgeous background, okay? So it'll save you some dough. It'll save you some money, right? That's a good thing. Jamie says, I've been inclined to use the fiber paste and other specialty mediums in certain areas of a canvas for whatever weird effect I'm looking for. I love it. I love it. That is, you're right up my alley there. I love it for using, fiber paste, glass beads, something like that for some cool effect. On this piece right here, I've got fiber paste, tar gel, glass beads, heavy gel gloss. What else? Whatever else I could find to stick on there to make these, really nice surfaces. And the thing about that's so cool is when you make these really cool surfaces like that, the viewer gets a chance to kind of investigate the surface and look around at all these different types of textures and stuff. It's very engaging to the viewer, and that can be good for you if you want to sell paintings, right? And who doesn't want to sell paintings? We have to support this art habit, right? Okay. All right. Any questions for me about fiber paste, gels and mediums, stuff like that? The Patreon page, any questions about that? The Golden Foundation, I'm going to be there pretty soon. And we're going to be doing some live videos from the Golden Foundation. Betsy says, why do you like it more than molding paste? The fibers give it more texture, question mark. Will molding paste have the same qualities as far as accepting lots of water, etc.? Actually, if you're talking about golden molding paste, it is a very hard surface. It tends to be a little gray. Let me see, do I have any handy? I don't have any. What's this? I don't have any handy. The molding paste, our regular molding paste, the golden regular molding paste, has a kind of a gray surface, and it is not absorbent at all. As a matter of fact, it resists water. So you can't do this process with molding paste, okay? The fiber paste, the reason I like it is because it really feels like watercolor paper. Once you get that down on your surface, it really feels like watercolor paper and gives you that absorbent surface. And honestly, there's a couple of videos on this YouTube channel. One of them might be called pouring or day 1 or day 2, something like that. But you're going to see me working on really large format canvases with lots of fiber paste as a surface and then lots and lots of water. And it's really useful to be able to get that surface down, get that background down, and not have to spend hours and hours and hours getting a really nice, beautiful surface down. This is a good way to do that. Jamie says, will you be showing tar gel sometime in the future? Yes, I will be. Chances are I will be showing tar gel either while I'm at the foundation or when I come back, because I'm so jammed between now and the time I go back to New York that I probably won't have a chance to do the YouTube live from my big painting studio. And when I use tar gel, I like to pull the camera way back so you can see what I'm doing. I'm standing up on a ladder or I'm standing on a chair or something and putting it on a big, large format canvas. If I get a chance, I will maybe just make a little video, a little 5-minute video with tar gel and post it for you guys. But the real benefit of tar gel is being able to get up off the canvas, you know, get some height and get that very stringy quality. I don't know if you can see in the camera or not, but there's a lot of tar gel here, and you can't get that stringy quality on a canvas this size. You can't get that stringy quality unless you back and have some height. So I'll try to do that. Stay tuned for that though, because that's a really popular topic, the tar gel, and I will definitely be showing that to you guys. And it may also, I have a little announcement. It may also be part of the 7-week painting challenge, which will be coming up. I think it's coming up in November or December. So if you're not subscribed to my email list, get over there and do that, because that 7-week painting challenge is going to be limited. There are only going to be 12 spots. So sign up. Okay, all right. Good questions, good questions. Now it's time for me to give away paint. As I do always every week, I try to remember to give away paint. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a number down, get my Sharpie pen. I'm going to write a number down on this card, and you're going to guess it. And whoever gets closest, I'm going to send you paint as long as you're in the United States. I can't send it outside the United States. Don't ask me why. United States Postal Service, blah, blah, blah. I have no idea. I, I know nothing about the Postal Service. I just put a stamp on it. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And apparently it won't go if you're not in the United States. Okay, so I'm going to write down a number between 1 and 10. You guys guess, and whoever guesses and gets closest gets some paint. If 2 people get close, we'll do a runoff. We'll do a sudden death. Okay, so here's the number. I've got my number written down. You guys guess. While you guys are guessing, Brenda has a question. What type of pouring medium should I use to make my paints flow easier but not produce cells? Oh, Brenda, that's a fabulous question. I would suggest that you use the GAC 800. I'm going to put it in here. The GAC 800 from Golden is a very, very good product. And if you go to goldenpaints.com and go to the video library, goldenpaints.com, go to goldenpaints.com and go to the video library, and there's some really good videos on pouring there that will give you professional results and will make sure that your paintings have the right kind of longevity, archival properties, that they don't fall apart later, that odd things don't happen. Thank you for asking that, Brenda. I really appreciate that question. I know there's a lot of information out there about pouring. Some of it is different than what I would say, and I'm going to be following up my first pouring video with another one. My first pouring video was a little wonky with the technical stuff. We were having some internet difficulties. My second pouring video that'll be coming up will be better. Okay, so stay tuned. Be sure you subscribe, you guys, and hit that notification bell next to the subscription button. That way you get a little bell when I start to go live. Okay, Jamie's number 3. Asha says number 4. Betsy says number 2. Brenda, thank you, Tisa. Awesome, Brenda. You're welcome. You're welcome. You just have a hard time finding it except online. You mean for the GAC 800? Yeah, you know, I don't know where you are. If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you can always go over to Artist and Craftsman, either in Berkeley or San Francisco, and ask them to special order for you. If you're here in San Francisco, one of my favorite art stores is Arch on Carolina Street in San Francisco. Wonderful, wonderful people over there. I'm going to put Arch, NSF, like that. And the manager's name over there is Mac. He's an awesome guy. They will special order for you anything you need. And yeah, sometimes you can only get those special purpose polymers online or by special order. But I like to support, my hometown folks, my homeboys, okay? So Artists and Craftsmen or Arch in San Francisco, my favorite art stores. All right, we've got, I'm losing track of who's guessing. Okay, wait, let me go back. Let me go back. Okay, first guess I've got is Jamie's number 3, Betsy number 2, Asha number 4, Lynn. Hi, Lynn Glenn. Hi. It's so good to see you. I have to tell you guys, Lynn Glenn, an amazing painter. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, Lynn, I'm going to embarrass you. I know. Lynn Glenn, fine art. You guys need to get over there and see her paintings. She's amazing, okay? She's fantastic. Okay. 3, 2, 4, 8. Frida's is number 2. Okay. Any more guesses? Frida's is number 5. You change your mind, huh, Frida? 5. Brenda says 7. Okay. What is the number? Okay. All right. Any more guesses, y'all? Any more guesses? I'm going to leave it open for a minute more. You've been a really fabulous group today. This is awesome. I love this kind of engagement. I love to see you guys giving me hard questions. Brush questions came up, molding paste questions, pouring mediums come up. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to wrap it up, and the winning number is number 4. So that would be Asha. Asha, I want you to send me an email. And in the email subject, I want you to put I won paint. And I'm going to give you my email address right now. It's tisa@acrylicdiva.com. Be sure you send me that email with your street address, okay, your mailing address. And I will send you some paint. Yay! Okay, Bessie says, I'd love to see a session on what to do next. It's coming up. This is number 1 on how to build a canvas, how to build an abstract painting. We're going to have at least 2 more sessions on this canvas. So this canvas is going to get going, okay? You guys are you're going to see the end result. Jamie says, y'all hit the like button. Oh, thank you, Jamie. That's very sweet. Yeah, you all subscribe and hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Invite your pals. And we'll do it all again next week. Same time, same bat channel. All right? Okay, I am going to wrap it up. You have been a wonderful crowd today. Take a look in a few minutes. It's going to take about an hour for the video to get processed by YouTube. I'll put all the links in there. I'll put the link into Artists and Craftsmen and to Arch. I'll put the link in for GAC 800 and anything else I can think of, okay? All right, you guys, have a fabulous, fabulous day. And what do I always say? Keep painting. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.